Hey everyone, and welcome right into today's explainer. You know, the smartphone market is literally boiling over right now, and lately the word Ultra is being thrown around left and right. But what actually gives a phone the right to claim that title? Well, today we're tearing into a device that is bringing serious, undeniable heat to the flagship world, the brand new OPPO Find X9 Ultra. We're going to break down exactly what makes this absolute powerhouse tick. Let's jump right in.
Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll be hitting power under the hood, a display that dazzles, the Hasselblad camera revolution, massive battery and build, and finally, the verdict.
So before we even start talking about the crazy internal hardware, we got to talk about the look. Sure, it comes in a canyon orange, but check out this quote about the tundra amber finish. It says it looks on an entirely different level. And it really does. It's got this vegan leather back directly inspired by those classic Hasselblad cameras. It totally sets the tone, right? This isn't just a phone, it's a dedicated prestige photography tool. And speaking of photography, OPPO threw in this really cool piece of hardware called the Snap Key, or the Quick button. It's sitting right under the volume and power buttons. But here's the kicker, it's not actually a mechanical button. It doesn't physically press down. Instead, it uses this incredible haptic feedback to feel like a click. Think about it, you're trying to capture a quick moment. The last thing you want to do is fumble through menus, right? You just squeeze this, boom, the camera opens, you can snap a portrait, or if you're holding it sideways in landscape mode, you can literally just slide to zoom or switch lenses. It's a total game changer for bridging the gap between a standard phone and a real pro camera.
All right, part 1, power under the hood, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5.
Because let's be real, all those fancy camera tricks don't mean a thing without raw processing power. And the Find X9 Ultra is rocking the absolute bleeding edge of mobile silicon, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor. OPPO is pushing things to the absolute maximum here. To give you a sense of this raw, unadulterated power, it pushes Antutu performance benchmark scores to around 4 million in performance mode. 4 million! To put that into perspective, that is basically enough power to run a small spaceship, let alone run your favorite games. Heavy multitasking, editing giant photo files, intense gaming, this chip just eats it all for breakfast.
And to back up that brain, you're getting crazy fast LPDDR5X RAM and UFS 4.1 storage, meaning loading apps or saving those massive camera files happens in the blink of an eye. On the software side, we're looking at ColorOS 16, which is built on Android 16, and it gives you those super smooth, almost iPhone-like animations. But here is the absolute best part, longevity. OPPO is promising 5 years of major Android updates and 6 years of security updates. So this isn't just a quick purchase, it's a long-term investment for sure.
Moving right along to part 2, a display that dazzles. 2K LTPO excellence.
So, we know it's smart, but what about the canvas you're staring at all day? This screen uses LTPO AMOLED tech. If you're not super familiar with that, basically LTPO lets the display dynamically change its refresh rate on the fly. Scrolling through your feed or gaming, it ramps way up to a buttery smooth 120 Hz, sometimes even 144 Hz. But if you're just looking at a static photo, it drops way down. This dynamic shifting is an absolute lifesaver for the battery, which is totally crucial when you have a screen this bright and sharp.
And honestly, just look at the specs on this thing. We are talking about a massive 6.82-inch flat panel with a stunning 2K resolution. It supports Dolby Vision and HDR10+, so your movies are going to look insanely vibrant. It's wrapped in Gorilla Glass Victus 2 for protection. Plus, and I love this, it has a permanent always-on display. A lot of phones shut that off after a few seconds, but this true flagship actually keeps your vital info visible 24/7.
All right, part 3, Hasselblad camera revolution. Unprecedented optics. Let's get into the main event here, because that massive circular housing on the back is not just for show.
200. I'll just let that number sit with you for a second.
Yeah, that 200 represents the megapixel count on the main sensor. The Find X9 Ultra rocks an unbelievable quad camera setup. You've got that massive, brand new 200-megapixel Sony LYT-901 main shooter. But guys, the real engineering miracle here is the 50-megapixel 10x optical telephoto lens. Actually fitting a physical 10x optical zoom into a phone that only weighs 235 grams, that requires completely redesigning how light hits the sensor. And it's sitting right next to a 50-megapixel 3x telephoto and a 50-megapixel ultra-wide with autofocus. Oh, and the selfie camera? Also a 50-megapixel sensor with autofocus. It's just a pure optical powerhouse.
And because of their partnership with Hasselblad, you get 2 distinct ways to shoot. You've got Auto Mode, which uses AI to brighten things up, fix dynamic range, and add a little beautification. Perfect for quick social media stuff. But if you switch to Master Mode, the AI backs off. You get pro-level manual controls, raw formatting, and that incredibly natural, unprocessed Hasselblad color science. It's close to reality, totally built for the purists out there.
For you video folks, the specs are equally mind-blowing. We're talking cinematic 8K at 30 frames per second, or crazy slow-mo 4K at 120 frames per second on the main and 3x lenses. Need perfectly matched footage across every single lens, including the front one? You can do crisp 4K at 60 FPS across the board. They even tossed in a new Log 2 mode, so pro color graders can throw custom LUTs on their footage right while recording. Insane. Section 4. Massive battery, premium build, sustaining the Ultra.
So the obvious question is, with a 2K screen, a processor hitting 4 million on Antutu, and a 200-megapixel camera, how does this thing survive a day? 7,500. That's how.
A 7,500 milliamp hour battery, that is a gargantuan leap in endurance. You are literally not going to be hunting for an outlet at 3 p.m. anymore. And when you finally do need juice, your options are incredibly versatile and lightning fast. Option 1. You can use the included brick for a staggering 100W SuperVOOC wired charge. Option 2. Go cable-free with a rapid 50W wireless charge. And option 3, you can even use reverse wireless charging to top up your earbuds or smartwatch on the go.
Now, despite packing that massive battery and all that crazy optical zoom hardware, it still maintains a really solid build. It weighs 235 grams, but it is built to survive. It doesn't just have one durability rating. It's got IP66, IP68, and extreme IP69 ratings against dust, water, and literally high-pressure jets. The frame is tough metal with a flat fiberglass back, and OPPO even tucked a custom network booster chip inside, so your connectivity is as strong and reliable as the hardware itself.
All right, Section 5, the final verdict. Is it the ultimate flagship? Let's pull everything we've talked about together.
So the OPPO Find X9 Ultra is definitely not playing the budget game. It's expected to drop in one single, fully maxed out version featuring 12 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of internal storage. Because it's packing literally the peak of current smartphone hardware, it's got a heavy premium price tag, expected to be upwards of 130,000 to 140,000 rupees.
Which brings us to our final thought. We've seen the 4 million benchmark score, we've drooled over the 200-megapixel camera and that true 10x optical zoom, we know about the beastly 7,500 milliamp-hour battery. With specs this unbelievably extreme, does the Find X9 Ultra take the crown as the definitive phone of the year, or have we finally pushed past what we actually need in a smartphone? Let us know what feature you would actually use the most. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you next time as we unpack more of the tech world's biggest leaps.